Guten Abend.
Guten Abend.
Günther is with me. Yeah.
Hello.
Very special topic today. Sun Ra. And Günther, how many years are you into Sun Ra now?
Whoa, 15?
15. Okay, so
Maybe.
quite some time.
Yeah.
Important. Günther goes into the musician Sun Ra, goes into collecting Sun Ra, has beautiful examples here. I can promise you some really, really cool stuff, really amazing stuff. He will explain about it. And of course, more than usual, you are very welcome to ask your questions. If you have any, if something is not clear, if you want to know something specific, I will have an eye on the gallery chat. So feel free to comment, to ask. I will put them up on screen whenever I can, because I'm just sitting here enjoying, like hopefully you, and Günther will do all the work.
Okay.
Günther, Sun Ra, why? What was your first contact?
My first contact was, I think 15, 16 years ago, when I was in my old company called Slowboy. We had a record store, an art, an exhibition space for art, music-related art, and some more stuff. And we had the luck to get Tim Kerr from the Big Boys, a Texas punk legend, who is into painting musicians. We had an exhibition with him, and I talked with him like, hey, I heard you have one of the biggest punk collections. I'm really into punk, and tell me, what do you have? What are your special pieces? And he said, oh, I nearly gave everything away. I said, wait, you knew Glenn Danzig and you had everything from the Misfits, and yes, I gave it away. For what reason? I got Sun Ra's for it. And I was like, oh, bad idea. Sun Ra's. Okay, I cannot listen to it for 2 minutes. But I was wrong. After talking with Tim for a few hours and a few days, luckily, I was like, I have to figure it out. I have to find it out. And then it came over me like, and luckily it was before the hype, and the stuff was quite expensive, but you could pay for it. So I started buying here and there a Sun Ra, because I never had I never thought I want to have them all. I'm not a completist. That still stays with me. But if I see a nice Sun Ra or a nice variant,
you cannot resist.
Mostly not.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that was your first contact. Maybe we start with a question, because this is maybe a good opener. Barry, Dr. Winston Boogie asks, when you are not familiar with him, what is a good record to start with?
I was expecting this question, and I said to Michael before that my recommendations will not help most of you, because I'm really into strange stuff and really into free jazz, orchestral free jazz, pure noise. I love all of this, but I found out during the years with talking about Sun Ra with many customers and also fans, collectors, and also sellers, that most of the people love, come across with this one. This is a current reissue. I choose this because it is available. You can buy it. And it is, in my opinion, not his best work. For me, it's not really my cup, but it is super. Yeah, it is an intense overview with solely voices singing. Yeah, everybody, I think nearly everybody will know the main title, Space is a Place, and
we have this craft reissue, right?
Yes, yeah.
But this would be your recommendation to get a good idea about the idea of Sun Ra.
Yeah, and then you take this record, and in every direction from it, you can figure out what Sun Ra is able to do. Yeah, wild, harsh, free jazz improvisations over 40 minutes, or soul adapted, super nice poppy songs. Not that much, but yeah. So
Nadine asks, is this the original soundtrack of his movie?
Yes. Yeah. Space is a Place is on many records, but I think this is a more common version. And the soundtrack, the movie, is also worth to check out. It's really strange.
Okay, so now let's dig a bit into it. Let's start before we get into the collection and how different in a way it is to collect Sun Ra than other bands than collecting Pink Floyd, for example. What makes Sun Ra so special musically for you?
Beside that, it is really, really unique and alone standing for what he's doing for now since the late 50s. And there are also recordings from the early 50s that didn't made it on a LP, they are on a shellac or something like this. And I think this guy had a vision. And when you see he was black in the late 50s in the United States, and he was one of the first who had made private pressings, because he said, I don't want to work for the music company. I don't want to meet any expectations. I want to do what I want to do. I'm not from this earth. I'm from Saturn, because I don't feel common here. I don't feel comfortable here. And so this vision is so deep, so true, so yeah, it was not influenced by anything, only by himself, and this makes it for real. This is it's unbelievable.
So when I ask you now, what are the roots of Sun Ra, it would be a question not possible to answer, or are there roots in a way?
What makes me really curious is that Sun Ra is, even now where there is not a hype, where he is at the point where he belongs to with all his visions and all the hundreds of LPs. What makes me really strange is that back in the days, like the 60s, 70s, 80s, not many people, in my opinion, mentioned him as the root of everything, because he saw so many on free jazz, on orchestral jazz. He combined so many super good instruments like African, Asian, and the mixture is so unbelievable good. It is a pain. It is like, wow, I cannot stop to listen to it. And so I think he's the root of mostly everything. But Sun Ra himself, he's dead, but maybe he would say the early blues has the truth, the deep, and the feeling he had in his music. The really old 20s, 30s blues, the music of the slavery, of the prison songs from the and I think.
And how many? Not how many. How important is his philosophical or political vision when it comes to the music? Is it political music we are talking about?
I think so, because he never tries to be friends with you. I have always a feeling I enjoy it, but I'm far out and have just to be part of his vision or look at his vision. So I think he also had some important pieces of lyrics out and wrote poets and some things like that. I have to be honest, I read a lot, but sometimes I don't get into it, because I think it was really far out, and so it was not based on earthly politics. It was more on how to live together, how to they lived as a community, the Orchestra and Sun Ra for money wise, but also I think it helped them to grow and to.
Was it a little cult or wasn't it?
I don't think so. I think he is a cult figure because of his vision. For me, I never saw him live, and for me, it is now still unbelievable when I spend my hours in late night and listening to him, and I feel the truth behind it. And there, I think he's one of the early Afrofuturism acts who invited Afro culture going into space, having a vision. And this is, even nowadays, not really common. So
Jens from the Black Paint asks, are there any books about Sun Ra you can recommend? I know there are quite a few, but maybe you've already read one or two to yourself. Thanks.
Yeah, I started a lot. I read a few. I would recommend for beginners this one. It's a really nice overview about possible live, older live sessions, a lot of writings about
I show it.
Some early picks from Herman Poole Blond, his born name, and this is a really good start. And luckily, this was quite rare and hard to find back in the days, but it is now reprinted.
Cool. So we can get it.
You can get it. It's called Omniverse by Hartmut Gerken and Bernhard Heffele. And I don't have in mind who reprinted it, but if you Google it, you can find it. And this is an easy start to find out about the philosophy.
And it's in English, by the way.
Yeah,
I just looked it up, not in German. Okay.
And I have to show, this is a lovely From Ra to Sun Ra and His Alter Destiny 21st Century Omniverse Orchestra. Sorry.
Günther, do you have a very, very early record of Sun Ra with you?
Yes, I have the, wait, I have the, I have the first one. This was not on his own label, Saturn. It was on Transition Records from 1957. It came with a small booklet and is...
we are talking 1957.
Yes.
This record is 50, 60,
65,
66
years
years old. Yeah. Wow. Wow. What do I have here? Explain that, because this is the same record. Please explain. And this shows how difficult, not difficult, but how complicated it because this is the same record.
Yeah. This is the Swedish pressing you have in your hands. Yeah. What I showed you was the Transition Records from the United States. Also a small label, but not as private and small as Saturn. Don't get me wrong, this is just my opinion. And what is really, really strange, you have to imagine that back in the days, not many people took care about avant-garde, free jazz. And then they made a Swedish pressing, and that speaks for the Sonnet label from Scandinavia, who made crazy and amazing stuff, even back in the days. And they...
What year are we talking here?
I think it's the same year.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
You see it in the manufacturing of the cover. It's super...
I'll show it again. But and this is so typical for Sun Ra. You even, and you hopefully, and you probably will get into that. A lot of records are in a way one-time editions.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe show an example why those records are one-timers.
Yeah, I show you this here. I often show it, and I really love it. It is also really, really hard to find, and many people want it because it was repressed by Impulse Records. And if we can talk about this, back in the days, this was the biggest success of Sun Ra, because this record with a different cover. And this one is the original, early 60s, with a silk screened cover. You can see it here a little bit, like it is silk screened on hand-bounded cardboard cover, and you have the really early block letter typography. This is super rare, and and
excuse me to interrupt you, but I can see the condition. Yeah. This is not the repress.
Right? No. And this is also one of my luckiest and best find ever.
Yeah.
It was not cheap, but it is far from what it is worth now. It even never pops up. And
who did this silk screen? Did the orchestra, Sun Ra himself? How is it in this? With this?
I think when you see other silk screen covers like this here, yeah. So here we talk about maybe a silk screen cover that not has a block letter typography. It has the El Saturn later standard design. This is maybe made by the orchestra, maybe by related people. The other one, I don't think so, because it was professionally book bound, the cover. But the effort in the early 60s, not even the book bounding was standard, even for regular pressings, but this one has the gold wraparound. It's a piece of art for me, and then you see it is handmade, so you have an idea of that there are not so many made. So I think. But
correct me if I'm wrong. When they go to on tour with an actual album, did they, or it doesn't matter if or if not, they made jackets, they painted some labels, and they sold those like today on a little booth to the spectators of the concerts, right?
Yeah, then you have examples like this here. So you see it is like easily simple hand painted, a paste on here, some writing. So this is what they did mostly. There are other examples like a totally handmade version of this is I think it's Omniverse inside, called here Otherness. So also possible. And one of my nicest pieces is this here. So you have here the paste on here, and here's the hand painting.
This is all hand painted, right?
Yeah.
One time only.
No, they did it like they were in the mood. Sometimes they just paste on something, an image that was used for 3 or 4 different titles. Sometimes they had time between some concerts or in the tour bus or whatever and painted them like crazy. Sometimes even 2 lines, or even, hey, Sun Ra, please sign it for us, or something like this. So this is what is the biggest pain. There is so many Sun Ra art involved that you don't be happy with just one of the editions. So I started figuring out which one I like the most, and I stayed with one. Then I traded my 2nd or 3rd copy, but at the moment it's more like when I get something I like, I keep it, because it is more like a record for me. It is like a piece of art. It is.
So when it comes to Sun Ra, it might even make sense to just buy a jacket.
Yes, this is also sometimes the case. I have also an example. I have this one. I have it in my collection with the record. It's also unbelievable rare. It's the paste on is always the same, but on the top, the red cover, you see it here again. The red is sometimes gold, sometimes black, and I think that's it, black or gold. I bought the jacket. I have the record with the jacket, and it was an archive copy. They found like 30 jackets, and it was not that expensive. So I said myself, I want that also. So.
Interesting. And okay, it's now not in your case, but when you now want to trade a Sun Ra original at Discogs, you have to make this entry, right? Because if you have an individual jacket, how does that work?
Yeah, mostly the entries in Discogs are for the label variants. So you have like one of the later ones. Wait, I have no. Like this one. Here we go.
Those are the same records?
It's the same record. In this case, also the same labels. I have them not open. And they just, This one is also hand painted a little bit. You can see it on the top.
This is interesting. Is this the one with the painting on the shrink?
Yeah, this is the one where the painting is also on the shrink.
Yeah.
There is the paste on the jacket, and the more common artwork is this one. And so they pasted three things: the circle, the typography, and the devil. And so this is for one Discogs entry. Maybe sometimes it is also listed with different artworks, but it makes mostly no sense. We talked about this.
Yeah.
Sometimes they used one image for 6 or 7 different records.
Exactly. This Egyptian motive. Maybe you have one. I have one. Otherwise,
this one is also really common.
Exactly. They took it on a lot of records.
This
right?
one, yeah.
He has got some. Yeah.
This is one of the ones I really love. So and here starts the pain for most beginners, because collectors as I and many others want them all. It's more like we are not greedy or stupid or something like this, but it is the same label. Sometimes the label color change, red, orange, or white. Sometimes the typography or the art on the label change, so the design a little bit changed, but it is always something new. And
So we have this individual cover design from the very beginning, from the first record on. That was always part of the concept until the end. Also with the Sun Ra Arkestra, after Sun Ra died, did they go on with the tradition?
Marshall Allen is the longest time member and is now guiding the Sun Ra Arkestra. He's the leader. He joined, he was born 1924.
Okay.
So he's getting 100 years old now, but he's still active. And I saw
He's
him.
Still active?
Yeah, they play. I saw them 2 years ago in Wuppertal.
Yeah.
I sometimes have to sit or get up again, but
it's okay when you're almost 100. You have the right to sit every now and then.
And they had more like now real record labels. Saturn, the flagship label from Sun Ra, and the Orchestra, also called El Saturn, Saturn Research, or TUS. I think it's not active anymore. They don't release any records and sell them on the shows. They sell more like the current reissues. Yeah. Also, they made new records without Sun Ra. Yeah.
Okay, now that's nowadays. Let's go back to the beginning a little bit for a moment. So we have Sun Ra 1957. Now, as you can see, also, if you are not into Sun Ra, I think almost every music lover has heard about Sun Ra.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. How was it 58, 59, 60? Was it in a small city and a very small audience, or has he become a figure in the United States, or not at all? And when did this happen? When was Sun Ra all of a sudden more popular and well known? When did this happen?
I think before Herman Poole Blond, his first name, was making music in the 30s, 40s with big orchestra music and stuff like that. This was something that had the chance to get recognized, have a fellowship and stuff like this. But as he decided under the name, he changed his name to Lee Sunny Ra, Sun Ra, after the Egypt mythology. He started in the late 50s with modal jazz, I would call it. Also, at the first few, nothing so special, but when your eyes, your ears, and everything is open and you listen to it, there is always an idea or something in the back, some congas or some drums or some flutes, that makes it really, really unique and really, really important. And I think back in the days, during his lifetime, he died in 1993. he didn't get the recognition he deserves. So
I totally agree. But in 1993, at least he had some recognition, right? Or is it a phenomenon of the last 10, 15 years?
I would say so, because as I started buying Sun Ras on different websites and also on record fairs, it was a decision for do I buy it for $100 or not? And you had three days to wait or think about it. Yeah, this was the first Sun Ra I scored on the internet. This is the second pressing cover of the first Saturn Sun Ra LP's Supersonic Jazz. It is in like new condition.
Which year are we talking now?
This reissue is from 65, I think. The record was from the early 60s, if I'm right. And
beautiful.
I had this in my basket for $100, and it took me 6 days to decide if I want to buy it for $100.
Wouldn't happen today, right?
No.
Would be 120, right?
Yeah, maybe 130. Yeah. No, times changed really on this. What I don't like about the hype thing is that with everything, that people jump in who want to invest money, who say it's not good, it's no good to pay for Supersonic Jazz first pressing 10,000s. Give the honor to the music, and then find out what is rare, which pressings are really hard to find, and who are worth to spend $1,000. There were also records 10 years ago, 15 years ago, who were $2,000.
From Sun Ra.
Yeah, but since 15 years and now, one or two popped up. So this is the reason that serious collectors who are really into the music wanted it, waited for years and years, and then decided, okay, maybe it's a little bit too much for my pocket, but I
just need this one. I wait for 10 years now.
Yeah.
It's time.
It's time. And so this is...
What are those records that pop up every decade?
Yeah, this I showed you. Yeah. This is the second pressing of Jazz in Silhouette. This nearly...
So I can see. So this is an extremely rare one.
Yeah, I don't have the first edition that was silk screened with a booklet and something like this. I think this is also the block letter typography.
Okay, here you see.
Yeah, and this nearly, this is not like crazy, but it pops up every 3, 4, 5 years, maybe, in good condition.
Yeah, it's always a good condition. That also
it's also early 60s. The repress is from the early 60s. The original is from 58, I think. I think the piece everybody is after and is really hard to find, because it combines rareness, fantastic, phenomenal music, and was just released in a first pressing as a really limited edition, is this one. This was also repressed by Impulse, like the Angels and Demons at Play. This is not even the rare version, the Saturn pressing. It also had the block letter typography. You see them. And this one I haven't found nearly nothing about.
Okay, you haven't seen any yet so far?
No, if you check the current websites for ended auctions and stuff like that, this is always the more common Saturn design that was from the later Chicago days. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've never seen this, and as I get offered it, I bought it directly. So,
okay, you're talking about the Saturn label.
Yeah,
is that his private label?
Yeah.
Okay. When did that came to be? From the very beginning, or? Yeah,
Sun Ra with 2 other guys founded El Saturn 1957 in Chicago. Sun Ra was born in Alabama but spent his early years in Chicago, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but the label started there with really, really crazy raw 7 inches without cover.
Okay.
Some doo-wop music and stuff like this, and also some vocal jazz.
Okay.
I'll be honest, not my cup. I have a few, but I don't have the same feeling with them as with the stuff I showed you, and so this started, and you can imagine 1957, the early releases are all impossible to find. And when we then talk about good condition visual, because the pressing quality of the Saturns is never near mint or mint. It can be unplayed, but it plays with crackles because it was never important for Sun Ra.
It was not an audiophile.
No. He has good contacts to a pressing plant, so he could press 50 copies of this, change the B-side, made 200 copies with this paste on cover or with this real cover. There are a few covers like this. There were they took them for many different pressing, even when there is written a tonal view of times tomorrow. This hosted a lot of different early pressings also from Sun Ra. And they
just put it in.
Doesn't matter. Put it in, sell it, doesn't matter. Somebody will buy it. So
and for their own luck they did, right?
Yeah, but you have to be really straight to say this was all really limited. Even when they played every day somewhere in the United States, and I think in the late 70s they came over to Egypt with Hartmut Gerken's help, and they came to Europe and stuff like this. They sold
maybe
them.
Get a bit into it, please, if possible. Helmut Gerken, they got over to Egypt. What's behind this sentence?
Hartmut Gerken was one of the longtime friends from Sun Ra, and was also working for the Goethe Institute Germany, and was in Egypt playing with the Cairo Free Jazz Orchestra and Salah Ragab. And he invited Sun Ra 1971 to come to Egypt and play with the current Egypt jazz scene.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about one flowing in Sun Ra. They flow in the orchestra with dancers, with singers, with like 25 people.
That's important. So the orchestra was an orchestra with dance. There really was something going on the stage, right?
Yeah, it changed. Sometimes there were only a few, then there were many. It changed on what was Sun Ra into and what was he working out or trying to show, or was it changed. But in Egypt it was really intense. There's also a current box set out with a nice picture booklet and a lot of LPs. Can I name the label?
Of course.
Yeah, it's Strut Records, a really nice one, and also good for beginners to have an idea what was going on. You see the ladies dancing and singing, and there was.
So Bill Evans just comes to mind. I will explain you why. Because we get so many obscure concerts releases now from Bill Evans in the Netherlands. So is there something the same is going on with Sun Ra, that they discover concert tapes and put them out nowadays? Is there hope, or is this material not existing?
I think Sun Ra did it himself.
Okay.
He released thousands of live shows, and there were also CDs and C box sets during his lifetime and stuff like this. I think there will come more stuff, and they will find in archives unreleased stuff. There are also a few test pressings of studio albums that was not released. I don't know, but I think the current catalog is so immense.
How immense is it? Roughly.
I think even the Saturn pressings are 100 to 120 different titles.
Okay. Wow.
So sometimes it's just a different B-side or a different live set. So they had not 10,000 different songs, but with free jazz, you can improve.
Yeah, exactly. Probably every concert was different.
But it's not. It's never weak. I think for beginners, it might be, just my opinion, not the best idea to start with the solo piano stuff, because this is really hard. Yeah. Good advice. Yeah, this is correct, and was really matching also the open mind of Hartmut Gerken and what he did for the Goethe Institute. Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt you, excuse me, but I find that quite interesting from Michael Valentini. So the catalog is quite big, quite huge, but something like a big box set of the essential Sun Ra reissues, something like that, does not exist, right?
At the moment, not. I have no knowledge about this. This would be amazing, but I don't know if the interest is same big as for Bill Evans or something like this. We also we still
not
talk
yet,
about,
right? Yeah, but you know, how does this interest develop? You have to have the stuff to get into it, and you know, you are showing unbelievable records here, which of course are in the very most cases really rare. So there is not the chance that there is suddenly a huge Sun Ra market.
Yeah, but I think when you play at a party Bill Evans, you cannot go wrong, and the party will stay and even enjoy the music. If we start some of these records, the party will be over in 20 minutes or maybe 15 minutes. It's not easy listening. It is, and you have to say straight, I needed a long time, and I was into Coltrane, also his free jazz phase. I was into Pharoah Sanders, but Sun Ra was always like, wow, what is going on there? And it's not stopping. It's going on and on and on. And after a few years, I collected it, but I was not in the position to say I understand what is going on. And after a while, it was like, yeah, I love it.
Okay.
I cannot say I understand it more or less than before, but I'm into it, and my heart, yeah, it sounds cheesy, but I listen to this, it makes me happy.
No,
it makes me really happy.
The whole point again. Yeah. But yeah, of course, you might not agree with me in this case, but the whole package with this hand-painted jackets, the scarcity, this very special, unique kind of music, a very mysterious figure in a way. Hey, come on, that's the stuff you made a Hollywood movie of in a way, right? What, he even was in prison. It's quite special. It's amazingly interesting, and I think with all this, with this facts, with all this surroundings, it also helps you to be at least interested be interested for the first time and give it a chance. And this is of course something that will grow. I'm quite sure.
Yes, definitely. I cannot find anything better to spend my money. Yeah. So this is.
See, Gary Molika just bought tickets for the Sun Ra Arkestra in LA Moon, July the 24th.
Enjoy.
Yeah, but this is also, I mean, we're talking 30 years now that the Sun Ra Arkestra survives without the man.
Yeah.
Which is also quite worth mentioning, I think. But you stop at with Sun Ra. You don't get into the orchestra, or are you also into a Sun Ra Arkestra?
I'm also in the orchestra.
Okay.
And
you have the records?
Yes, and I also sell them in the store. And I think Marshall Allen doesn't bring it to another point.
Sun Ra gave Pharoah Sanders his name.
Okay.
That's interesting. Thanks for sharing this.
I think Marshall Allen with John Gilmore, June Tyson, Pat Patrick, they were the main figures behind Sun Ra, in my opinion always. I know many people think different, but so it is for me a pleasure to see the man who is alive, who stayed with Sun Ra for over 50 years. So,
do you collect also Sun Ra memorabilia, for example, signed items, concert posters, photos, and stuff like that?
If I have the chance to buy, I have a few of the original booklets he released with his poems. I have a few photos, some signed ones, but I'm not searching for it.
If you see one,
and if I get offered something in a trade, it is okay for me. But I have a lot to do to find even some of the records I'm looking for, and yeah, this is enough for me. So it's more the record and the art with the record I'm really into.
The cult around, the hype around Sun Ra, is it comparable to Bob Dylan? Those people who live there and digs into his garbage and looks for interesting stuff, or is it different?
Maybe the intensity is the same, but I think Bob Dylan is still alive, and for many people, he's more than a musician. He's a politician, and he's telling them how to live their lives and stuff like that. That was never what Sun Ra was trying to do. I think Sun Ra was just trying to survive.
Which was difficulty enough, probably,
yeah, to
right?
survive on planet Earth. Because if you name yourself as a stranger from planet Saturn, there must be something wrong with you and the life you live here. As I told you, I think that being an Afro-American black person in the United States in the late 50s was not easy and is still not easy.
And this Saturn thing was a metaphor, right?
Yeah.
For this. Yeah. For this surroundings of the racism.
So I think in this case, he's also hopefully a good politician who shows younger people now, be proud of what you are, be proud about your dreams. If you're a loner or if you have unique ideas, stay with them. You are right. You do whatever you feel is right. And there's always, there is more than getting recognition, having followers. Live your dreams. And for me, this is the biggest example, because during lifetime, it was never easy for Sun Ra or the Orchestra. They have no $1 million deals or something like this. So,
they were on impulse, right?
Yeah, but they just re-released some Saturn titles. I don't think there was a big success for them.
Do you know how that came to be? Through Pharaoh Sanders or who?
No, I think the output was immense, and they picked out 4 or 5 of the biggest titles, the best for the mainstream, and that was it. But I don't think that in the 70s it was a big deal when Impulse re-released something. Maybe for John Coltrane or I don't know, but I think from our point now, wow.
Okay, maybe you should.
Lucky you.
Maybe you
Let's meet.
I wasn't aware of it, Michael. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you told before that your friend was the management of. I saw it on the line there.
Yeah. See, from Sun Ra to Sun Ra, good fan.
Hey.
Nadine wants to know how expensive those Impulse titles are today. You have an idea?
Yeah, the good thing is they have different, but in my opinion, really, really nice and fantastic artwork, and they were not limited, so you can grab them as playable good VG copies for $30 to $50.
Okay.
If you want them in your mint to mint, it's 100, 120, but this is maybe a good start. Yeah. I don't have any.
Yeah, you have the originals,
right?
And but Impulse choose, of course, the more accessible ones, right?
Yeah. This was one of also one of these that were hardest to find for me, the Atlantis. It was also, I think, it was on Impulse and maybe the biggest success from Sun Ra. So I had the feeling, because everybody I was talking about was looking for this original. It's a Saturn pressing. And this was also with a different artwork reissued by Impulse. And it's also a good start for beginners to buy this and enjoy it, because...
Justin Peters, any titles on ESP disc or other labels you recommend as a more affordable, findable alternative to the El Saturn album?
Yes, I really love the 3 early ESP titles, but I think they are really, really strange and really far out, more even like some modern classical music involved with jazz. there is a lot of interesting stuff going on, but not the kind of easy listening. But the ESP titles are amazing. Also Savoy. And nowadays, I would say check out every early European represses. I can't remember. The Goody was one label, and so Fontana did some repressings. Go and buy them, because you cannot wait nowadays for all of them as original pressings. It's
it took you 1.5 decades, and you started on a relatively easy stage.
Yeah.
If you would start now, I don't think you would be there in 15 years.
No. And when you see people who are older than me and were involved since the 60s, like the collection of Hartmut Sgerken, what is now, after his death, is now in the Goethe Institute, in the Jazz Institute Darmstadt. These are collections that are once of a kind and unbelievable. I even know some older collectors who every year and there share some information with me, or we trade. Sometimes they have collections and different covers and hand paintings. Wow. I, in general, when it comes to some hand-painted stuff, would always prefer, for authenticity, to say they made a nice paste on, but the hand painting was mostly really easy, and they mostly didn't take that much care as you see here.
This is unbelievable.
So I'm mostly anxious when there is a big hype and the prices rise, that people fake something. And we have also the phenomenon of the shower curtain covers.
Explain that, please. What is the shower curtain covers?
In my opinion, this were one of the rarest, because they were only for the band or for people being near the band. There were paste-on covers, and then there was a shower curtain sticker, like with a structure on it that makes it a little bit more fancy. Yeah. These were so rare. In 15 years, I got offered 3 or 4. They were so expensive. And nowadays, there were books about 100 different shower curtain sticker covers, and you can buy them in German Baumarkts.
And that's the problem, right? And you are quite afraid. Not we don't want to accuse something, but it's strangely how many after sometimes, right?
Yeah, I also believe that some of the older collections are, maybe they have 10 or 20 shower curtains covers. I don't know. I have seen only 2 or 3 seriously offered to me in 15 years, and I decided for myself I don't like it that much. It's just my opinion.
Taste.
It's taste versus value. It was always so expensive.
What is so expensive? Help me out here.
Yeah, 1,000, 2,000 for regular pressings. Just they have the shower curtain sticker over the artwork, and this was always for me like, I'm not in. I'm not in. So I understand that people still go crazy for the shower curtain stuff, and even if a cover is super nice hand painted, for myself, I get like, I cannot be 100% sure it came from the orchestra. And
this is unbelievable. Michael, maybe you should join us. Another friend, John, was a huge part of the Sun Ra archive. He saved it from being thrown into a dumpster.
Yeah, and I think John is always holding a lot of the copyrights for recordings. Am I wrong? I had some contacts with my old label, because we wanted to re-release something on our old label, Slowboy, and we had contact with John from UK.
Okay.
But I don't know.
But imagine the Sun Ra archive almost put into a dumpster. How can that be? I don't understand this.
Yeah.
Tja. Okay. Here is Jeremy, who said that there is a great article in the New Yorker, in the US version, how Sun Ra taught us to believe into the impossible.
Yeah. Maybe this will help you work on your collection, huh? I do myself.
Okay, now Günther, Johns from the USA.
Okay, then it's a different John. Okay.
There are quite some Johns probably out there.
Maybe.
Like Günther or Michaels.
Yeah. Even in the orchestra was some Johns.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Should I show some more?
Yeah. No, it's boring. Don't show us, Sun Ra.
This was one of my latest additions to my collection. A beautiful copy. I bought it from Japan. I was really, really curious about this because my love to jazz wasn't an easy beginning because I came from punk and noise and avant-garde, and I was in New York, and my roommate shared his John Coltrane collection with me, and I was not really happy about his I'm out for the weekend. When you have the time, play some of my records.
Was it the ballads, John Coltrane, or was it the Love Supreme?
Everything.
Okay.
So but he gave me the advice, listen to my favorite thing, and a big love started. So this song, my favorite thing, originally not from John Coltrane, but in the version from John Coltrane, it
got you.
It got me. And on this record from Sun Ra, there's also a version from my favorite thing, and I was really, really nervous. I love John Coltrane. I love this song. I love Sun Ra. Will he fail or will he win?
Did he?
He won.
He won? Okay, cool.
It was different. I expected it to be different than everything else, but it was unbelievable. And so it is still after 15 years when I buy something, and that is not often the case anymore. I buy one Sun Ra a year maybe, and it is like, wow. It's still...
So there's still the possibility for you that you find or get a Sun Ra record that you haven't heard yet.
Yeah, but I'm a snob. I don't listen digital to it, and I'm missing quite 10 Sun Ras I have on my want list. As I said, I'm not a completist. I don't need everything, but I will first listen to them when I get them
digitally.
No.
When
I got them at the record.
Okay, that's cool.
I have like a lot. I will not tell how many, but I have a lot. I can play Sun Ra, a lot, a few years.
When did you get this one with the Coltrane song
on? 1 month ago.
This is a very new.
This is my last edition. Cool. Yeah. This was my last edition.
When did this one came on?
I think in the 70s.
70s.
Yeah. So yeah.
Is there something you can say that, especially with Miles Davis? In a way, there are 4 Miles Davis. Is there one Sun Ra, or are there different Sun Ras over time?
Oh, there are many different Sun Ras.
There is a development, or back and forth and back?
Oh, yeah. I think it is more like he had different visions. As I told you before, he had a lot of records playing a solo piano or a synthesizer. This is really obscure and hard to swallow.
Moog,
yeah. He played Moog, yeah. And it got me, but latest. So there are orchestras.
Which year are we talking with the Moog?
Oh, he started early. I think he did it his whole life. So the recordings are mostly, I think, from the 70s till the 80s, till the end. He died in 93. So the last years, there were mostly long parts of solo Moog into it. In my opinion, the latest years were a bit annoying. I couldn't find any new ideas, but maybe I'm wrong and I need more time. I'm young. I'm still into... No, I'm not young. I'm young into Sun Ra with 15 years, but I love the earlier work more. But for me, if you see Pharoah Sanders played on one record, Archie Chap was in the orchestra, Don Cherry was in the orchestra. So he had different musicians. Yeah, the orchestra in his whole were a few hundred people. Yeah, there were really like I told you, Marshall Allen, John Gilmore, Pat Patrick, the voice of June Tyson, unbelievable. If you see a record where June Tyson sings on a Sun Ra record, buy it. It's amazing. Yeah? But there were 100 more people playing with the orchestra, and Sun Ra had a big vision with different kinds of playing with 3 people, playing with John Cage, as someone mentioned. Michael, you mentioned this. So there is a record with John Cage, and there's solo piano, there's orchestral music, people for 3. Yeah, there is everything. So it is a whole life you can find out and work with.
Remember, it was quite at the beginning when we talked a bit about the influences, and Sun Ra told Michael that he saw Bessie Smith perform live many times, and vaudeville acts were a big influence on him.
Okay, good to know. Bessie Smith is amazing.
I played Sun Ra Smoke. I got in big trouble with him for doing that. And Michael, this is not a joke, right? You really played Sun Ra Smoke, okay? Impressive. Okay. Bruce McDonald is fairly sure that Sun Ra played a lot of Italian synths such as Kruma. Might be.
Might be, yeah.
Show a record, Günther.
I do. Maybe something we had yet. Okay, I have two more I really love because they were also silk screened. Silver paste on cardboard cover, silk screened. And here again, block letter typography, making it a first pressing.
Okay, this is the signature for a first pressing, the block letter.
No, it's not that easy. The mysticism about Sun Ra is big, but the mysticism about the Saturn label
is bigger.
Is bigger because he had no current pressing numbers, nor a standard label design, nor any. There were books about
a matrix.
They changed.
Okay.
In numbers, in typography, in everything, and so sometimes there is a block letter typography. As I told you, Nubians of Platonia is one of the rarest with block letter typography. This one is maybe one of the unbelievable covers. This is also silk screened with so many different colors. It is a silk screened cover. You can see how many different colors are on here. The back is not silk screen, it's just one color.
But Günther, this jacket they did several times, or did they just do it one time?
In this is Planet Earth.
Yeah.
You see it, Sun Ra visiting Planet Earth.
Yeah.
So with this typography and with the musician's name on the back, it is just for this record. But there is, as I showed you before, they took the artwork again.
Okay.
Just a little bit different, yeah.
This is a beautiful. This is, now we can really understand it better. So those are in a way the same jackets, but Sun Ra, who as an artist choose to make them totally different.
Yeah, said change the colors, make another record, put it inside, change the typography. And we also have these are also early and really nice examples of early Sun Ra's. Fade in a pleasant mood. Here again we have block letter typography. So this is also a first pressing of the third or fourth Saturn on Sun Ra. This is also really hard to find. It has Sun Ra, John Gilmore, Pat Patrick, Marshall Allen, Ronnie Boykins, Phil Corrin, who also later has a solo career and made amazing records, a trumpet player. And this is all, unfortunately, it is impossible to find.
Again, I have to ask, how old is this record, Günther?
Nearly 60 years, 50, wait, this is from the 70s, I think. It's no name on it.
Let's say roughly
55 years, maybe. Yeah.
It's white.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that in my videos every now and then, maybe too often. But hey, thanks to the guys and girls who took care of him, right?
Yeah.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah, but also as Michael Valentini mentioned, there are also records from Sun Ra in some archives, and I think this copy also was unplayed as I bought it. Because but I also think a lot of big jazz collection have Sun Ra records inside, but there are more in Bill Evans, Miles Davis, and they never played the Sun Ra records.
That might be.
So if they die and sell
they tried it out and said, no, it's not mine.
Yeah, maybe. So every here and there you see them unplayed, like the transition copy I showed you. I got this offered in the United States. It was mint with mint booklet, and I had to sing twice because it's nearly 60 years old.
Hey, Stunty wants to know, Günther, do you have some of his 10-inch 78s?
No. I know somebody who has a few. It's impossible to find. I don't have a shellac player, and it's also too early it's more like not Dixieland, but it's big band jazz, and it's not really my cup, and beside that, impossible to find. So sorry, Stunty, no.
And I just want to show it. Michael brought it a little earlier. It was about the Moog. I think he said to me, I was in heaven, but you're bringing me down. So I stopped. Thanks for stopping, Michael.
Yeah, unbelievable.
But Stunty, eeriest is 32 IIRC, not him as a musician, but composer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did a lot of composing music for others. He wrote some pieces and stuff like this for I don't know. I'm not really firm with the early phase of Herman Blunt. So yeah.
Okay, we are here now for 1 hour. I'd suggest we wait a couple of minutes if there are more questions. Do you have something you want to share which you haven't already, or something you want to talk about?
Yeah, I really love, there were also just a few times when you wait like this, you have here the artwork, a typography, a little bit color on it, and this is something I really love because it had something about like outsider artwork. I think this is quite unique. Yeah, for sure. You can hate or love it. I love it, but you see the simplicity and the idea behind it. It is so unique. I say it again and again, but yeah, I really love.
You know what I can imagine? You know, there are books. What I would love to see, maybe you have it or have seen it. Are there photos from those booths where they sold this stuff? Are there booths with 80 Sun Ra original handwritten, or how do I have to picture this out on the concerts and afterwards where they sold them?
They were lying on the table, and sometimes you didn't know what you get. You said, "I want the current record you have with you," and they made some paintings, and here we go.
Actually, they made them actually.
Yeah. I met also a guy who had 50. He bought back in the days like 50 different titles, and none of these looked really interesting to me. They are a piece of art, but there were no paste-ons on it, just the label artwork that is amazing, a plain disco sleeve, and some lines on there. And he was like, yeah, I was not the lucky one who got the Fireside Chat with Lucifer with the paste on. There was just one line or something like this. Though there were, beside all what I show you, were the ones I kept. And I resold because they were not that nice. So there's many stuff easier. If you have an idea, I got this one here.
Okay.
This is luckily signed.
Nadine will love this. Nadine sold discos into signed, and this by the whole band.
This is by the whole band. It is. Put it out here. It has also the concert program where they played it. Here we have it again.
I take the
look. It's not a really rare Sun Ra.
Yeah, but come on, it's signed.
It's signed by the whole orchestra. Here's the ticket. Here is the ticket. And here's the program. You can see where they are all mentioned, like June Tyson, John Gilmore, Marshall Allen, James Jackson, Noel Scott, Ahmed Abdullah, Michael Ray, Fred Adams, Jonathan Collins, Tyron Hill, John Orr, Ted Thomas, and it goes on and on. And I checked it. Yeah, believe me or not, it's signed by all of them. And maybe the
Beautiful.
story behind it is funny. This was on the wall on a record fair,
Yeah,
really
yeah,
back,
yeah.
and nobody could see what it is actually. And I was totally bored because I was since 3 days on the fair, and I was running around and hoping to buy something. And I asked the seller, what is this record in the bag? It looks terrible. What is it? And he said, oh, nobody asked for it for 3 days. It's Sun Ra. And I said, what? Yeah, I saw him live in the UK, and yeah, he played, and yeah, it was signed by the whole band. And I said, what's your price? And yeah, I have to be honest, it was really, really cheap because he was really pissed that nobody asked for 3 days on world's biggest fair.
Sometimes you just
Yeah.
have. Oh, was Den Bosch?
It was, formerly Utrecht.
Utrecht, okay.
And I was scoring this really cheap, and I was like,
Yes.
yeah. But you always tell the good stories, and you run around years without making anything that it's nice to talk about. So this was one of the big catches. I was really happy about it.
I can
June
imagine.
Tyson, Marshall Allen, Sun Ra. Yeah, it's not that rare. Sun Ra signed a lot, not a lot, but I have a lot of.
Relatively.
Yeah. He had a really nice typography signing, and I have quite a few, and they were never that expensive. But having the whole orchestra during this period is amazing for me. Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah, maybe I show you some more.
Yeah.
We had this, Atlantis. Okay, wait.
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah, die hatten wir auch schon. Yeah, we had them short. I also love this. This was really common during the 70s and 80s. Just simple paste-ons.
I love those paste-ons, by the way.
Yeah, and then you have also super nice artwork for the labels. They all changed it, and
they also did quite some painting on the labels quite often, right? I've seen that.
Yeah, this is also really common, but yeah, I would not focus that much on it because it is unique and it is hand painted, but they did a lot of hand paintings, and it's mostly just simple art. Yeah. So I would not go there and say, wow.
I get it.
If I see something like this, I showed you before, I love the composition of the paste on, and the red cover is textured. Yeah. It's a heavy cardboard cover. And so, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, and that was the reason also for this video. I don't know any artist who did it in this way.
Yeah.
So it is unique.
Yes.
It is unique. So, and I think celebrating this, that he did it over decades and decades and decades, and gives us so many artifacts and grails, which is again unique.
Yes. And for me, always, he was maybe not that influenced as other artists. He had his vision, and he loved stuff, and he was not.
It was not like this Mormon girls, right? The record you showed who never heard any music before.
He was influenced, definitely, but his vision is so straight, and he was so free from making compromises. Yeah. So this was hard for him to go through his life and getting the recognition. We talked about that, but nowadays, where all this tries to be normal, so he has big roots for all of us. Yeah, to believe in our dreams, to believe in what we are. Yeah, even in the discussion. Even in the discussion, if you're a man or woman or in between, or be what you are. Believe in your dreams. Believe in what you feel. Yeah.
We have 3 questions.
Yeah.
Günther, do you know the connection between Sun Ra and the band NRBQ?
No, absolutely not. No idea. Maybe you help us.
Winston Carville, how do you find the official repress by Cosmic Myth, Strut Records, and Modern Harmonics?
I think they are more than necessary. they are official. So I think even with Strut, I can say for straight, they work with the orchestra and with the copyright holders. And they're the only chance to get really, really important records for a normal price with some good artwork and some solid jackets. So yeah.
You like it?
Yeah.
Barry, Dr. Winston O'Boogie, need some Sun Ra vinyl, but just looking, they are impossible to find for cheap price. Yeah. If you talk originals, yeah.
At the moment or in the future, impossible, yes.
Interesting. Santi, Nurse with Wound have a similar ethos, his own label, own art, custom-made covers, multi-techniques. Yeah. That's
definitely
true.
that is what we said, that Sun Ra was the beginning of a lot of going on, even in the punk scene, and not only in jazz. Yeah, I think many people. At the end of his life, Sun Ra had some records on Blast first record, where Sonic Youth were on Big Black, noise rock, alternative. So Sun Ra was a big influence beside the jazz movement. So he was never into one genre, yeah, you know. So I think also Nurse with Wound, Steve Stapleton maybe was into Sun Ra. So it was not, I was not be curious about it.
Stanti, was Sun Ra on the Nurse with Wound list?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it would be strange if it would. Somehow it almost would have felt disrespectful. Maybe I'm stupid, but somehow it would think it was yeah, of course. Do it yourself
And when you see in the late 70s, early 80s, the do-it-yourself aesthetics in the United Kingdom for punk and post-punk and pre-punk and whatever, so this was what is called Vorreiter. He was the forefront of of this all. Starting in the late 50s. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. That's
unbelievable. True. Having a vision against all odds.
Okay, I was waiting for this question. And let's close with this question, because it took you very long to ask it. I like that it just comes at the end. Which is the rarest Sun Ra record you have?
I think, wait, I think it comes back to this year.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because it is the earliest I have with the silk screen sleeve, and it is the one everybody comes together with. It is the one that was repressed on Impulse. It has a big recognition. The music is super intense, super nice, and
you know what we do after the video?
We
will listen to it.
Yeah, we will listen to it.
Okay. But now here's some closing in on this NRBQ. Okay, Elliot Cruz, NRBQ are a wonderful, diverse band. What is the connection, Michael? Did they collaborate? And Michael answers, Terry Adams was given a 45 of Rocket 9 directly from Sun Ra, and Sun Ra told him to record it. So NRBQ recorded on their first album in 1969. Terry went on to record albums with Marshall Allen.
Yeah, okay, we talk about the old, yeah. Now I have an idea what you are talking about. I was thinking about a newer band or a band from the 80s or 90s. NRBQ are from Canada? Is this correct? Yeah, I have something in mind, yeah. Okay. But
and Stunty goes in the Nurse with Wound and Sun Ra. Sun Ra not on the Nurse with Wound list. He appreciated the ethos and craft, but I think he was much more into Euro jazz.
Yeah.
But does the distinction between Euro jazz and US jazz make sense when it comes to Sun Ra? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think the Euro free jazz scene came from what was more near the Nurse with Wound list, krautrock.
Okay.
So many or other way around, the Euro jazz goes into krautrock, like Irene Schweitzer Trio went into Guru Guru and something like that. So they were combined. Many musicians played also in strange projects and made some, like Ken, yeah. Irmin Schmidt played in Manfred Schof quartet and stuff like this. So this is more like the idea behind Nurse with Wound and what was Steve Stapleton was into. But I think the list is really big. The Nurse with Wound list is really big, so there is not place for anything. So I think if you talk to Steve Stapleton, he would also maybe say, yeah, Sun Ra was a big influence, but maybe also Bob Dylan was a big influence. I don't know, but I think it's not that near what is Nurse with Wound than the Euro jazz scene. So Stanti, I would say this is correct, and but we will not be 100% sure
until we get an answer from himself.
Yeah.
Günther, that was amazing.
Thank you.
I think I can in all our names also from the gallery. That was very, very special.
Thank you all for your attention and giving me the space.
And you know, a lot of records I haven't ever seen in my life and probably won't see, but now they are out there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Günther.
Thank you.
Thank you for your attention. It was a pleasure. See you soon.
Thank you, guys and girls.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, and now